Hello, everyone. I'm Aasen. I'm a member of the Carmel City Council, and I am a big fan of both the Carmel Clay Public Library and the Actors Theater of Indiana. So it is such a joy today to have people from both of those organizations to talk about the new show. It's new, but actually they did it last year too. Alabama Story that Actors Theater of Indiana is doing. And not only does it touch on a lot of themes about civil rights and racism, but it also talks about freedom of speech, and the main character is a librarian. So how perfect is it to get these two great organizations here in Carmel talking about the power of libraries and how they can change the world. I have Don Farrell, co-founder of Actors Theater of Indiana, with us, and he is one of the stars of the show. He's actually the villain in this show, which he's not really a villainous guy, but he's an actor, so he can play a villain. And we have Christy Walker with the Carmel Clay Public Library as well. So we'll start off. Don, tell us a little about this show. Don't spoil it, but give us some of the plot and tell us about Alabama Story and what it's all about.
All right. Well, it's based in true events that took place in 1958, 1959 in Montgomery, Alabama. The heroine of the piece is an Indiana native from Culver, Indiana, and she also got her education at IU Bloomington in library studies, and she was a member of the Phi Beta Kappa as far as sororities go. But it's all centered around a book by Garth Williams, who's illustrator famous for Little House on the Prairie, Stuart Little, Charlotte's Web. So those are the household name recognition titles of books that he illustrated and wrote, or illustrated. And then in 1958 he did one called The Rabbit's Wedding, which is about a white furred rabbit that falls in love with a black furred rabbit, and they want to get married. And it's just a nice little furry critter type of children's book. But this is 1959, Montgomery, Alabama. And this is right in the middle of the segregationist era. And Emily, this book comes across her desk as far as from the American Library Association as far as notable books. And she had picked that along with many other books to be in for their what they were offering for the public library in 1959. And the role that I play is Senator E.W. Higgins, which is based on a true senator, E.O. Edens, state senator from Demopolis, Alabama. And as you know, with libraries, they're funded by taxpayer dollars, and Emily has to defend the right for why to keep that book on the shelves. And of course, there's a lot of pressure because it's a tough time, and it's a very challenging era. And a lot of those challenges still remain today, as believe it or not. And so, yeah, but you can follow the ups and downs, and even though it's a social, like a social drama, there's a lot of humor to it and a lot of heart in it. And so you'll be pleasantly surprised by it. And also it really challenges it brings a lot of people together to be more thought-provoking and educational for children. It's perfect for families right now, and helps good teaching moments that are going on even as we speak today.
So Christy actually got to see the show. Right now, anyone can see the show. It is available streaming because during COVID, obviously people can't gather. So they have this option where you can watch the show in your own home. You can cook a dinner, get some carry out, sit at home and enjoy it. Christy watched it, and let's get a review. Tell us, what did you think? And I know one of the actors is here, so if you give it a...
Should I leave? Should I remove myself?
It's so wicked, so wicked. Well, how can you not love a play that has a librarian as the heroine? I think that's really refreshing and exciting for people who love libraries, and certainly people who work in libraries to see. It is an amazing piece. It's a very timely piece, even though it was set in 1959, and such a wonderfully told story and an excellent production. I love that it's a play about the power of books and the power of reading. I'm glad that I got to see it online, because there was this wonderful moment where Ms. Reed, the librarian, has this line that I had to stop the recording, rewind, and listen to it again, where she says, "Books allow us to solve mysteries, satisfy curiosities, and realize dreams," which is what those of us who love books have been saying forever. So it's a wonderful, wonderful story in that sense. I think that people will be struck by how the themes that are told in the play are still very relevant today. Libraries are still, from time to time, facing challenges to their books, not necessarily to a book like The Rabbit's Wedding, but there are still things in libraries that not everybody agrees with and not everybody thinks should be something that their community is exposed to. That type of content is different in different times in different places. So whereas we may see this play and think, really, people are objecting to a book about rabbits having a wedding? But I think that it is still something that people who work in libraries recognize. As I was watching the play, really appreciated how it draws attention to the fact that one of the most important things that public libraries try to do is offer a collection that's diverse. The senator makes an argument at one point that this is not a book that represents this community or this state or this culture that he is in. And I think that that's something that libraries take very seriously, wanting to have a collection that both reflects the interests of their community, but also recognizes that communities are diverse, even if they don't necessarily seem like they are. There's another point in the play where Ms. Reed makes the point that books can introduce you to cultures other than your own, which is not something I would say that the senator necessarily wants to hear. But that importance of having a diverse library collection is very important and something that the play really calls attention to.
Now, Banned Books Week is still a thing, where in September libraries will talk about some of the books that throughout the years were not allowed to be put on the shelves. So talk to us about some of the well-known books that for some reason were banned and why they were banned. And interestingly enough, some of them weren't banned as long ago as some might think.
Right. Something that still makes the list of nationally most challenged books is the Harry Potter series. And a lot of people might think, really, the Harry Potter series? But there are objections at times to the fact that it seems to some that it promotes sorcery and witchcraft, or shows that people who do bad things can have good outcomes. And I think that something that's important about this is some of us may think Harry Potter doesn't seem like something that would necessarily be challenged. People recognize that's a fantasy book for children, surely. But I think knowing that it is a book that still is often challenged in different parts of the country can kind of open our eyes to the fact that not everybody sees things the way that we do. So knowing that something is a difficult topic or something that people in certain communities don't want other people to have access to, recognizing that, I think, is important, especially today. I think that a lot of the books that are being most challenged today sometimes deal with LGBTQ characters and themes. That's something that's more prevalent today, certainly. But I think it's important for libraries to continue to carry these books in their collection. And during Banned Books Week, libraries often have displays of these materials. So some of the things that are on display may be surprising to people and things that people wouldn't have thought would still be challenged today.
So I'm a journalist, but I got a journalism degree. I worked at a newspaper for many years. So I definitely appreciate the freedom of speech. And right now it's definitely in the headlines, freedom of speech and debate and censorship. Don, I want to ask for this question for you. I know sometimes in the theater world, there have been shows that are controversial, that are been edited or changed or weren't allowed to be performed in high schools or whatnot. So talk a little bit about that censorship and why it's important to have controversial material out there and the power of that freedom of speech.
Yeah, theater, I've always believed that, theater, just like good books, where there's such a great symbiotic nature in this conversation between the Carmel Clay Library System and ATI. We share a lot of the same type of values, just like, what Christy was saying about how we want to provide a wide, diverse amount of content. Of course, we have a certain, like maybe there's a certain subject matter, or just like more musicals and more lighthearted fare. Walking away with the pep in your step is a great thing, and that's a very powerful quality of theater, and what theater can provide is a lot of happiness and escapism and fantasy and whatnot. I mean, after all, breaking into song, I mean, I break into song when I'm walking down the street, but not everybody else does. So you have to kind of suspend your disbelief just in watching a musical, right? So there's a fantasy nature about that. But we also feel it's, you know, I've always believed that theater has the power to afflict the comfortable and comfort the afflicted. And there's varying sides of whatever subject matter you're dealing with, and whatever position you are on either subject, there's always something to be learned. And the more we're able to engage our own minds in other people's points of view, and we're able to open ourselves up. I think that's one of the problems that our society, I was talking over the holidays with my brother, and I'm from Georgia. So obviously this play kind of resonates with me. Alabama, right next door, and a lot of Southern themes, and it's a very Southern state, obviously, and a lot of history. But we talked about, you know, why is it, you know, my brother would say, you know, that's one of the reasons why people don't talk about religion or money or politics at the dinner table. And I was like, well, yeah, but at the same time, one of the things I think that maybe we haven't as a society been able to do is have civil discourse and be able to have a healthy conversation from other people's viewpoints. And then we might be able to see where our common ground is, rather than immediately creating these walls up. And it's like, I only want to deal with people who have the same like-minded points of view. And the more we're able to open that up, not trying to really take a point of view, it's more about putting it out there and allowing people to have something resonate with them after they spend the 2 hours in the darkened theater. That's the sign of a really well-written play or musical, is when you're left with it still resonates with you. It still lives with you. You want to have a conversation. People would go out after a show and have a cup of coffee and dessert to be able to talk about what they just experienced, sitting right next to each other, but maybe they have two completely different perspectives of what they just experienced in the same 2 hour period of time in a darkened theater, where we're all able to, you know, acknowledge all of our own warts and wonders as human beings. And that's what I love about theater. Theater has the power to be able to potentially change people's minds, or just be able to open up so we all can really appreciate our own humanity and the differences, and celebrate our differences too. There's a lot to be celebrated. That's one of the things I love about our community here in Carmel, that we do celebrate that. And I mean, just look at, we just had the city of Carmel just put on a marvelous celebration of Martin Luther King on January 18th. They do the same thing for the Holocaust remembrance ceremony. They do it for the veterans. I mean, it's all of us, and that's what makes this world go round.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I always hear stories of high schools or middle schools where they'll do the show Into the Woods, but they'll do just the first half, because the second half gets a little bit darker. And I know a couple years ago you guys did, and I saw the production, the radio play for It's a Wonderful Life. Well, that movie, when it came out, Joseph McCarthy said it was communist propaganda, because Mr. Potter was the evil capitalist. So some things that we love and adore today, there were people questioning them back then. But I do agree with you. I think that plays and books have a power to maybe open our mind to a different viewpoint. During 2020, which is part of the reason Actors Theater wanted to bring this show back, is it is really relevant right now, with issues dealing with civil rights, Black Lives Matter, the death of George Floyd. A lot of these conversations have come to the forefront nationally. And have you noticed, Christy, any change in the books that people are checking out? Are people trying to read more and educate themselves on some of these topics?
Yeah, absolutely. There's been great interest, especially in the past 12 months, with some of the things that are happening nationally in titles of that nature, and topics such as that. I know that in February, we will be doing a special program all month long of virtual activities and recommended reading that go around with Black History Month. Our librarians created book lists and have posted that on our catalog, and we've seen our waiting list on those titles skyrocket. We've ordered extra copies because there has been so much interest and so much conversation, I think, going on with that too. And Don, I was struck when you were talking about theater and the power of theater, the power of literature. Adam, I know that you're a film buff, the power of film to tell these stories. And that was something that really struck me watching this play, this idea that telling your story is so powerful. And I think that's why people are requesting these kinds of books from the library and interested in seeing films, interested in seeing plays. This idea of being able to share your story is powerful, but being willing to listen to somebody else's story is so powerful too. And having that opportunity to share our stories is really important, especially in a time where sometimes it feels like we are stuck in our own bubble. We feel like society is very fractured. So having those opportunities to tell stories and listen to stories. And I know that that's one of the reasons that ATI chose to bring Alabama Story back to the public.
So one thing, and I guess this is both of you, it's a little more difficult right now during COVID because we are in our homes and we can't gather. The library not only is a great place to check out books and movies, but it's also a great place for people to gather. And that's part of the reason the library is expanding its space to have more meeting rooms and gathering spaces for programs and kids' story times. A lot of those things, though, we can't do right now. So both organizations, talk to me about how you've been a little more creative in engaging the public and reaching out to people while we're kind of quarantined a little bit. I guess we'll start with Christy.
We've been looking at new ways that patrons can use the library in a way that, while the pandemic is going on, makes them feel comfortable and safe. So we're excited that the Merchant Square Main Library is going to be reopening its doors in February, so people will be able to come into the library again. We've expanded the number of book displays, movie displays, displays of items that we're doing in the library, making it easy for patrons to zero in on specific topics and find things that we think they'll be interested in. But we have started a curbside hold pickup service, so patrons can identify things that they want through the library catalog and remain in their car, and we'll bring the items out to them. We've launched a couple of new services at the library to help connect patrons with things that they personally would love. We have some new personalized pick services that we're doing. There's a book alert service that you can do through our website, where you can find out the new books that are being added to the library's collection each month. You can fill out a form and we will email you a list of books that we think you'll love. That's something that we're calling shelf service. We have express bundles too, where we will compile a package of 5 to 10 items that you can come in and pick up through our curbside hold service. So different ways that people can continue to interact through the library without leaving their car, or in some cases without even leaving home. Like ATI is doing, we are also offering virtual programs so that patrons can watch videos of story times. They can attend online presentations live through Zoom. So a lot of different ways that patrons can still connect to the library, even while they may not feel safe coming through the doors.
And for you, Don, I know you worked with Megan Associates and they helped you come up with, you had ATI at home and you also had a drive-in theater event. Tell us about both of those that you did this year during the pandemic.
Yeah, as soon as the pandemic kicked off in March, we started doing our Friday night Facebook Lives from our homes to yours. And it was just a free way of people to be able to tune into our from our ATI Facebook page and get a little bit of entertainment and a little bit of dialogue. And it's just something to give us some type of social outlet where people could connect and kind of take us away for about a 2-hour period of time. Our executive director, Jim Riley, would tinkle the ivories and play all sorts of wonderful tunes on his upright piano in the office or at home. And then my colleagues, Judy Fitzgerald, Cynthia Collins, and I would sing and do little stories, or we would also interview other local arts leaders from all of the resident companies at the Center for the Performing Arts. And then we had some guests from afar in New York City or in Atlanta, tune in as well. So that was really nice. And we did that all the way up until the end of May. We did it for July. And then starting up like in September, we started doing our drive-in theater concerts. So right there at the Monon Square, where people could purchase per car to kind of like going to a drive-in movie, but it's us singing with the live band and doing music of Disney or from the movies or from all the Cole Porter and Hoagie Carmichael, or we did a whole holiday one with Santa being there as well as real reindeer. And so that was fun to get us through it into the holidays. Then we also partnered with a company called TBD Productions or Pictures, where Jefferson Mays, two-time Tony Award winner actor who did a one-man version of A Christmas Carol, we kind of helped publicize, and we were the professional theater company for Indiana, helping publicize that, and that was through the holidays. And now we're doing our production of Alabama Story right now through February 14th, and you just go to atistage.org to purchase it's only $35 per household, and it's just a great way to just have a nice entertainment inside. And there's some nice Philip Faluso, our cinematographer, put together a really nice montage of historical things during the intermission portion of it, and he put all of that stuff together, and Zach Rosing did our filmography for the archive. And then we're also looking to continue doing some more concerts. We're talking to a gentleman who's amazing, and we'll announce that soon, about doing a live concert virtually though, but and that would be something we're looking maybe in March or April. More drive-in concerts, the beginning of May leading into the Indy 500 to kick off, maybe some driving songs and stuff like that, a Route 66 type of fun stuff. And then we'll continue on, and we'll do that like in May, June, and in July. And knock on wood, everybody keep those masks on and get your vaccinations, and we get this herd immunity thing kicked in, and we'll be able to be back to some sense of normalcy where we can kick off our 2021, my goodness, I can't believe I'm saying this, 2021-2022 season for Actors Theater of Indiana at the Studio Theater at the Center for the Performing Arts. So fingers crossed on all that.
Well, I'm going to throw out an idea right now. Even when people are vaccinated, we can gather together. You should bring back the drive-in show. And guess what? People can get out of their cars. You can have people get some nice weather, and people can tailgate. They can, I don't know if they.
That's right. Yes. Yeah, no, I think that's going to be a program. That's one of the beauties of, out of necessity, invention, right? And that's going to be a program that we're going to continue on. I have a feeling it's not going to go away. It's too much fun to do, and it just gives us all a fun time to get together and socialize and enjoy some great music and great camaraderie.
All right, I'm going to do one more question. Before that, I'm going to do the plugs. Alabama Story right now is going until February 14th. Stream on demand for $35. And you can watch in the comfort of your home. Yep. If you want to get tickets, there's two ways. You can go to the website, atistage.org, or if you're not tech savvy and you need a little help, someone to walk you through it, you can call 317-843-3800, and someone will walk you through the whole thing. So we've got you covered. Or you can email Don personally, and he will tell you how to sign.
That's right.
I'm sure he would, actually.
Of course I would. And we do have wonderful support with our wonderful friends at the Center for the Performing Arts. They're handling the box office for us for Alabama Story, and they're marvelous. They're always great.
The library has some exciting news because, Christy, Monday, the branch at Merchant Square in the old Marsh store, which actually is a really cool space.
I need to go in there. I haven't been in there since that opened up. Yeah. Is that over at the that's the one at Merchants?
Yep.
Yeah.
Biographies in the freezer section. It's great.
Oh, that's hysterical.
I'm not kidding.
And they can they took a little break when the numbers kind of went up COVID wise, but they are going to reopen Monday. But if you do not feel comfortable going in, they still have curbside delivery and pickup. And you can get a book, you can go get some food at a restaurant, carry out, and then you can go home and read a book and watch a show. Sounds like a pretty good weekend.
It certainly does.
The final question before we go. We're talking about the power of books, the power of plays, the power of any kind of entertainment art. So I want to ask each of you, a book, a movie, a show that kind of really opened your eyes when it comes to issues of civil rights and and racism. Anything throughout your life that you think is a good recommendation for people to read or watch? And I'll start with you, Christy.
I know it's sort of cliche, but I do remember reading To Kill a Mockingbird in high school and being so moved by that. And then seeing the film version and then seeing the stage version of it. And just the conversations that come out of a piece like that really, again, have the power to change your perspective.
And that show does hold up. And
Yeah.
they recently did a new version on Broadway with Jeff Daniels. That was Aaron Sorkin kind of rewrote it from the book, and that was a big hit too. So I'm glad people are still enjoying To Kill a Mockingbird.
And a book that has in the past made it on banned books lists. So.
Oh yeah, yeah.
All right, Don, what's something that you recommend that people should watch, read, or absorb?
Oh my goodness. Okay, so I every Sunday I watch CBS This Morning. I love that program, and they did a highlight on Charlie Mackesy. I think I'm pronouncing his last name, Charlie Mackesy. This is a gentleman who's an artist, but also a book. He wrote a book called The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse. It has helped me so much through this pandemic. It's nothing but uplifting, encouraging, positive, supportive type of, and he does these sketches. Let me see if I can show it up. It looks like that. I follow him on Instagram as well. And so he will do, and there's the horse, and you follow with the different characters, and it's just beautiful. And he's an artist, but also, and he will sketch these and leave them in phone booths or at the bus stop, and it's just lovely. And it's a very easy read, but there's something about that I just found so much, I don't know, it's very healing during a time of isolation. And so something to give me a good encouragement, keep your chin up, you're going to make it through it, that type of thing. I think we can all use that these days.
All right. Well, thank you both of you for telling us about the power of books, the power of the theater, and how we all can kind of learn more, connect with each other, and also keep entertained when we're stuck at home. Because some of us, we are still going out, but I think a little bit less, so will everybody. So
yeah. And Adam, if I can just really throw in real quick, we talked about this before we went live, but Joyce Winter, the West Branch right there, Joyce Winter, big friend of ATI, Jim and Joyce Winter, and that's your branch right there, Christy, right?
Yes, indeed, serving the west side of Carmel.
Serving the west side of Carmel. And Joyce Winter, for those of you who didn't know, she made a cameo appearance in one of ATI's productions called Unnecessary Farce, and she was hysterical. So she's somebody very, very near and dear to our heart. We love her, we miss her, and we definitely love Jim. He's a brother, man. He's a great, great guy. Joyce. So go out and support Joyce and her memory by going to the Joyce Winter West Branch. I know I will be.
My daughter is 2 now, but before my daughter was born, Joyce knitted a little hat to give her, and just very sweet, unsolicited, just kindness from her. And I think that's kind of the lesson of all this. We all need that unsolicited kindness to others and make the world a better place.
Amen.
Thank you, everybody. ATIstage.org and Carmel Clay Public Library, is it .org too?
CarmelLibrary.org.
CarmelLibrary.org. Go to both those websites and find a way to be informed and entertained this weekend.